You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome in Nigel Phiri, trial lawyer and owner of the law office of Nigel Phiri in Atlanta with a focus on litigation and personal injury. How are you, my friend?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Really glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's so good to see you. It was surreal to meet you at the CRISP Summit earlier this month, actually. Isn't that crazy? That was this month, right?
Yeah, after having just a social media relationship, we're interacting online. I'm like, man, this guy's got a cool page. Start
Yeah.
a couple of years later, meet in person.
Yeah, it's wild. I know, I feel like talking to you, I was looking back and I was like, man, Nigel must have thought I was so scattered because I was just so many, there was everybody around me and I just was sort of it was pretty surreal, to meet a lot of these, a lot of people who I, formed sort of, I don't know if it's virtual friendships or some form of relationship online. So it was really a cool experience to be out there.
Yeah, just like an audience that supports and follows you, man, because we like your content. You got good content. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've certainly contributed to that. We've featured you, I believe it was October 6th, earlier this year, about a month or so ago, or a month and a half of this recording, 2 months almost, excuse me. But you have a great story too. So, and by the way, congrats on launching your own firm. That's super cool, and we're gonna get into that. You have such good experience too. Nigel has amazing experience. I've looked at, your LinkedIn, and you've definitely done the big firm thing, the small firm thing, and now you're on your own. So it's you have you can just answer a ton of questions for people. So I look at you as a very valuable resource to our Lawyer Stories community.
Yeah.
I was reading up a little bit, and you're not originally, you live in Atlanta, but you're not originally from Atlanta. You're from Zambia and Zambia and South Africa. So when did you move over to the States, and what was that all like?
So I was born in Zambia, which is just culturally very different, right?
Yeah.
And I lived there till I was about 8. Then I moved to Johannesburg in South Africa, which is a lot more industrial, So went to high school there till 10th grade. And then that's when I moved to the States. That was about 2003, 2004, sophomore in high school.
Wow.
Came over. Yeah, I lived in Roswell, went to Roswell High School. That was a huge, huge culture shock.
That's got to be really hard to move in sophomore in high school too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think just coming somewhere where you don't know anyone, you don't know the culture, the slang, you don't know current events that are, that the people here care about. Everything was different.
Yeah.
So looking back on it, I guess it was overwhelming a little bit, but I had great support, so I think I assimilated after, I guess, a couple of years.
What was the reason for the move?
Oh, just chasing the American dream, man. Yeah, no,
Really?
if I stayed back home, I don't think I would have had the same opportunities.
So this isn't a thing where your parents or something got a job and you had to move? Was it, or was this yourself? Just okay. So they brought you over, that sort of thing?
Yeah, me and my mom.
Your mom, okay.
My parents got divorced when I was very, very young. So my dad stayed, and my mom just wanted to move so that I'd go to school here,
Amazing.
Have to go to college, really. Yeah, so that was the main reason why we moved.
That's amazing. So how do you pick Georgia? It's a great place, and it's just, picking anywhere, but I guess it's just curious to know how you decide on one state over the next when you're doing something like that.
I think just friends, connections.
Okay.
Atlanta was a city where she knew a lot of people.
Right.
So when we came over, even though we were brand new, to the country, there were some familiar faces. So that
Oh,
kind of
that's
made it
helpful.
a little bit easier. Yeah.
That's helpful. So you ended up going to GSU, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how did that all go down? Like you go to high school as a sophomore and like in a new like country, and all of a sudden you're applying to go to, Georgia State.
I remember when I moved, like the biggest issue they gave me was like all my grades, right? They're like, oh, we need to test you to make sure if your grades are real.
If they're real.
Right. Right. Um, so that went well. And then, you start learning everything that you need to for college here. So they're like, oh, you have to take a foreign language. And I'm like, I speak a foreign language. I was like,
Yeah.
well, but we don't recognize your foreign language. It's
Oh
not really known. So
gosh.
you have, yeah, no, I'm being serious. It's like, so you got to take. So I took a couple of years of Spanish,
Right.
which
So
I
it's like
love,
it's you need to either take French or Spanish. Like we
something
can't
like that.
we can't like right, okay, got it.
Right. They'll let you take Latin, which no one even speaks. That's
Right.
what was funny about it. But yeah, no, I took Spanish, which I love, right? Learned a
Yeah.
little bit of it. Don't remember as much as I should. But yeah, and then started going to Georgia State. I just wanted to really, really get out of there when I started. So
Okay.
I went to summer school like every year. And
Really?
I graduated in 3 years because I knew I was going to go straight to law school.
You did. So this is all you too. Like this is on your shoulders. I mean, you're really pushing yourself to do these things and to get through college quickly. What made you decide to go to law school? Do you remember a moment or was there anything in
Yeah.
particular?
No, I had my goddaughter's mom. She went to Harvard Law School, right? And then
Say that
you know
again. You got whose mom?
my goddaughter's mom.
Okay.
Yeah, she was like a mentor of mine. I met her at church actually,
Oh,
so there's like a 10-year age difference, and
okay.
I met her right as she had just taken the bar exam after graduating from Harvard Law School, right? So that's 2005, 2006, and
It's
she
amazing.
started her own firm right out of law school,
Yeah. Wow.
doing real estate and has been successful ever since. So
It's
that
amazing.
was a lot of motivation. But I was just so fascinated by her, like her critical thinking skills.
Okay.
So she was like, "Oh, I learned that in law school, right?" And I was just like, I'd
What
never
do you
thought of
think?
it.
Like, people always say like think like a lawyer and like critical thinking skill. What do you think like makes it different? Like for a lawyer, I mean, is that might be an unfair question? Like that's not even something I really plan to ask. But I'm just curious. Like, what would say like if you see somebody like your mentor, your daughter's godmother, like thinking a certain way, like what was it about that thinking?
Um, it was concise, it was organized. She was very intelligent. She
Okay.
was to the point and results oriented. Like she got the job
Okay.
done.
Yep.
So even though like she's in an entirely different practice area, as for me, she does real estate transaction, no litigation whatsoever. And I
Okay.
feel like a lot of those skills are kind of transferable, because how they teach you in law school is a lot of they make you stand up, they make you stand up and make you think on your feet and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think once you get the panic and anxiety out of the way, the ability to work through a problem like that, that's really what they teach you. Like, this is where you're starting and this is the solution that you're looking for.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, like, what was you went on to law school, Mercer? What, excuse me, what was your law school experience like?
I enjoyed like how academically tough it was.
Okay.
That's definitely the hardest I've ever been challenged, right? But I really didn't really enjoy I did not enjoy living in Macon. So my law
Okay.
school experience was once I got out of class, I'd go to my apartment, I'd be like, I can't wait to graduate and
Yeah.
move back to the city. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Is it? I don't really know much about that town. Is it like is it a country area or what is it like?
Yeah. It's a very, very small city.
Okay.
It's been around since forever, but you won't see it's nothing like Atlanta. So I've just always been around big cities.
Yeah.
Even before I moved to the States, I lived in Johannesburg, which is a huge city. Um, so
Yeah.
I
That's
like that fast-paced lifestyle. I
right.
think maybe when I'm much older, I'll enjoy the smaller town living, but not for right now.
Not right now. No
I
way.
wanted more action. Yeah.
What was your favorite like aspect of law school?
Hmm. I would say, honestly, man, I'd say learning how to be a law student.
Okay.
Yeah, that I really enjoyed because my first semester that was the first time I got a report card and I didn't see any A's, right?
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, a lot of people didn't.
a lot of humility came with that.
Yep.
So after that first semester, like I really, really buckled down, you know, and I got with the right people that helped me. And it's more so like, so for the exams, like I knew the information, I just wasn't using the law school formula, right, of writing. Yeah, like I wasn't sticking to stuff like that. So just like that second semester, those grades, when those came out, like I was really, really proud of myself.
That's awesome. So you worked really hard and you made it
Mhm.
made it happen the second semester. Yeah, sometimes writing I think is a big deal. How to express. A lot of people we can put it up here, but it's hard to like manifest it on a piece of paper and write the analysis and all that stuff. Weaving and with the IRAC and all that thing, you know.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So on to your experience. Like you have tremendous experience. I think in like year 2, you went on and you worked for, can I say the name of the insurance company? I think it's out there in your website, sure. State Farm. Like you work for State Farm. They have cool commercials with like pro football players and stuff. Like, what was that experience like working like at a big insurance company, like defending these lawsuits?
So it was fast paced, right? Because we're right in Atlanta, like the North Druid Hills areas where the office was, and it's high volume. So the attorneys are all defending State Farm insureds who are, you know, either there's negligence in like a car wreck, or if it's a restaurant that they have like a policy there for slip and fall, you know, situations like that. The great thing about that experience was when we started, you know, the managing partner was like, hey, I want you to go to as many depositions, trials, mediation, like really get in there and see what it's like.
Okay.
And, the person who was in charge of the interns, you know, she ended up giving me like a pretty challenging writing assignment. She was like, hey, I want you to write a motion to exclude this expert, which I remember when she gave me the assignment, I knew what it was in theory, but I had no idea what the motion looked like, right?
So Google image search. No, I'm just kidding.
But you know, when she came to me, of course, I played it off. I was like, yeah, I got it. What you want, like in a couple of weeks? And she was like, yeah, like 2 weeks. And she was really impressed by what I did. But I put in a lot of work into it, you know. And the great thing about being in law school, if you remember, like their Westlaw, they let you search everything, so you can get forms. So I put something together that was really, really good, and she liked it. And she ended up giving me a job at Morgan & Morgan like 5 years later. So,
really? Because of that motion to exclude, huh?
Yeah, when I was leaving a partnership, 2019, she was the first person I let. I was like, hey, I'm looking for a job. And she was like, oh, she was a partner at Morgan & Morgan. She stopped doing insurance defense, and she was like, send me your resume. A week later, I had the job.
That's amazing. So you do this work at like State Farm, and you decide like, okay, you know, you spent your first 2 years defending these insurance companies. Yeah. And then like, what decision did you make that you wanted to go plaintiff side? And I mean, Morgan & Morgan's like the biggest plaintiff law firm out there, right? So like, what was the decision? How did that decision come to you that you didn't want to defend the insurance anymore?
I'd say it was personal fulfillment. You know, when you're representing everyday people, there's a connection there that I felt. You know, I get you a settlement, I put a check in your hand. Like I could feel the difference. Like I've had clients say, hey, I was able to get a car, I was able to get a house, I was able to do this for my family.
Wow, yeah.
Because of the settlement that you got me. And, you know, that really resonates with me. Like I felt really proud of that.
Yeah.
On the defense side, not to say the work wasn't fulfilling, you know, but it was more so just correspondence with an adjuster that say, hey, great job, here's another case. Oh, great job again, man, here's another one. Which that's what you're looking for, right?
Right. Did you end up going to court a lot with State Farm, or were you doing just a lot of settlements?
We like 95% of the cases would settle, right? So even the ones that don't settle early, they'll settle right before trial or after a second mediation. I did manage to get some trial experience. Like I've tried cases from magistrate court where the most you can get is $15,000, you know, to all the way to the bigger ones. Yeah.
Right. And does State Farm give you like a limit on how much you can actually settle for? Is that how it works?
I was an intern back then, but some of the other insurance defense clients that I've worked for, yeah, they'd want a budget when they submitted a case to you based on the facts. and then they'd go through that budget with you and, work through your billable hours and all that, and then see, essentially they'd be like, hey, this is how much we want to pay on this case. And then if you can get them out for less, that's a score.
So let's get some advice from you for like law students, actually. Like, what would you tell a law student like who's in 3L trying to find a job? If they didn't land a 2L gig, what's your best advice to a law student looking in the job market?
Sure thing. So when I was looking for a job that third year, all the law schools have great hire rates posted on their websites, right? My dean actually gave me some great advice. She was like, yeah, 90% of people get a job within a year, but that 90% number, most of people, it's going to be after you take the bar exam, right? So, because no one really wants to make that commitment to you because they don't know if you're going to pass yet.
Right.
So most people, once they pass the bar exam, that's when they got that job. And then for me, I passed the bar, a month later, I got a job. So
wow. Yeah.
So I'd say don't be dismayed, by how many applications or how many interviews you're going on. Just, be resilient, and the right job is coming. But then also, the first job isn't the last job. It might feel like the most important job because you're looking to get an income again after being a student, loans, what have you. Your first job is just your first stop. You can move on from there.
Right. So that's right. And you have illustrated that. And some people go from like job to job. Like, I hire people as part of my day job. I love my day job. I am like a hiring person. Personnel is like up to me. And sometimes you see like a pattern of people who like leave a job, like after a year, they're on to the next job, which is fine if you're young, you're tasting different things. But, I think like what's interesting looking at like your LinkedIn and seeing what you've done is like you literally like touched like every interesting sort of thing that you can do as a lawyer. I mean, you went from like working at like State Farm, then you went to a small law firm, right? Like you learned, you did hands-on like depositions and everything. Then you went to like a big firm. You went to Morgan and Morgan, one of the biggest well-known firms out there. So how do you know? How does an attorney know if a smaller firm or a bigger firm is for them?
The generic term they tell us is, oh, what's the culture like? What's the fit like? That really is so true. It really is just feeling, like when I started doing plaintiff's work, I enjoyed the day-to-day of the job more. So that felt better.
Right.
Right. And then
and that's at the smaller firm? The smaller firm? Okay.
Yeah. And then when I got into bigger cases and started working at Morgan and Morgan, it felt even better. Like I felt like I was on the right path. The firm culture is really just getting along with the people that you're working for and how they run the firm. Does it agree with what you want? I think it's really just that simple. And if those key things don't work out, I'd say it's probably not going to work out for that person there.
What's it like working at like a huge firm like Morgan and Morgan? They're like considered big law or no? I mean, they're
big law for sure. Big law for sure.
I know they're big law, but I thought big law had some sort of another like criteria. But it's definitely big law, right? So let me start my question again. Like, what's it like working for Morgan and Morgan? Like, it's lunchtime or you're there at 8 o'clock at night till they roll out the snack cart and like all that. They come knocking on your door.
No, it's not like that. So
okay.
The great thing about it is it's a lot of autonomy on the cases that you have. Like they want you to be creative in how you're bringing your cases. They want you to push the envelope, try to get clients more, be more aggressive. But then it's also a very, very collaborative environment.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So there's so many people, so many great lawyers who are always available to help you with whatever question you have.
It's amazing.
The resources, you can afford to hire any expert you want, right?
Yeah.
Because they have the money for that.
Right.
You have the opportunity to work on some really, really big cases, where the defense lawyers on the other side, there's some pretty great lawyers. So you have to bring a really, really strong case to get clients the compensation that they deserve. So that experience, I think of it like sports, like basketball. Like if you play every day against people who are better than you, you only get better, right?
Okay.
So working at Morgan and Morgan, there were so many lawyers there who were better than me, and they would spend so much of their time just teaching and training, like Keith Mitnick, who has so many multi-million-dollar verdicts and settlements. He literally did a weekly, even more if you want to reach out to him, a series where he's teaching you how to take depositions, how to get witnesses ready for trial, how to respond to summary judgment, how to beat affirmative defenses, just anything you need. The first time I had to depose an expert doctor, I reached out to just one of our senior attorneys. He's like, "Hey, call me in 30 minutes." I called him. He spent like 2 hours walking me through this whole thing. And that's probably some of the best training I've ever had for those kinds of depositions.
Well, I think that's super smart of you to like reach out. I think like a lot of people with attorneys or young attorneys might have a lot of, too much pride or something and not want to ask the question. I think it's like, I think that's really like, that's a really good thing that you like reached out to these people. And it's great that they're like, these attorneys are so willing to help,
Yeah. I have to give a lot of credit to John Morgan and Matt Morgan. They really push that type of collaborativeness at the firm. They want people to help others, so for me, I think it's just not being prideful, humility, and then wanting to be better, man. I really wanted to feel like I was a great litigator. So I knew I wasn't there yet. And then you had so many of these guys who were, right, guys who've gotten 8, 9-figure settlements.
Wow.
I've never even come close to anything like that. And then you meet them in person and they're like, "Hey, this is how you do it." Like, I'm going to take my notepad out and write down everything I can. Yeah.
That's so smart. And, you exude like such like confidence and great.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Gratefulness, mostly. Like a lot of, well, confidence, obviously, but you exude a lot of gratefulness, like for, your experiences and like being able to work, for these, a smaller firm, for like an insurance company, for Morgan and Morgan. So I think that's super cool, man. Like you could tell you're really like grateful for the opportunities and everything. So how long were you there at Morgan and Morgan?
2.5, almost 3 years, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what was the decision that said, okay, it's time for me to go open and launch the law office of Nigel Phiri?
I'd say right before I took the job there, I thought about it. And I'd say that's probably the closest I'd gotten to do it. And then to just keep it 100 with you, man, fear. Fear. Yeah. I was just too afraid. So I took the job, but that actually ended up being the best decision for me because
sounds like it.
Right. So last year when I started the firm, October 2021, I wasn't afraid, right? Or as afraid, I would say. I felt like I could do a good job. So yeah, once I just handled the fear, man, and overcame and took the plunge, and I'm so glad that I did.
That's amazing. So do you still keep in touch with people over there? They maybe kick you some
here
and there? Yeah.
Yeah. No, we have an ongoing relationship. Yeah. I have great mentors over there, friends over there. Yeah.
That's great.
I think it's important not to try not to burn bridges if you can.
No, definitely not. So like what advice can you give to somebody who is about to launch their own firm?
I would say have a very honest conversation with yourself about, number one, how much are your bills for a year? If you can budget not to make any income for a year, which is your worst, obviously you want to make money before then, right? But worst case scenario, I would say either have enough capital or enough cases to get you through that first year.
Okay.
And then, try to market yourself as much as you can, which is finding your own voice and how you want to do that, and then just go for it, man. That's really the biggest thing.
Yeah,
go for it.
Do it. Yeah. You got to just go for it. Right. Love it. So when you started out, did you think about taking like other sorts of cases? Because I know it sort of takes a long time to, put on like a personal injury case and like, you got to get the settlement and you got to, it takes a while. So like, did you do anything just, like trust in estates or like DUIs or like just something where you could get paid up front sort of thing?
So, Benny, for me, I was just lucky that I didn't have to.
Okay.
I've been doing PI for so long, and then I started with a good number of cases.
That's great.
That I was able to keep going. And now that's all I'm looking to do. If I expand, I might take on a sub area, but it would still be personal injury. Like I'm thinking about getting more into medical malpractice.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if I expanded it, it'd be more. I'd still stay under PI though, I think.
Okay. Gotcha. I have some people in New York. I know you're in Atlanta that I could set you up to talk about med mal. Actually, that we just did an
Really.
episode with very recently ago. Hasn't been released yet, but if you want, I'd be glad to make the connection. So, and that's what I like to do, by the way. Like here at Lawyer Stories, like I love connecting people, man. It's like one of those things that's like the heart of what we want to do. So, like what's like the biggest challenge of having your own firm so far?
Oh, I would say, understanding that more time, right? I never had to do the management side of a firm before, which is, writing out expense checks to providers, to all. I didn't have to do all that stuff, right? I didn't have to manage a trust account and all those things. So you also have to remember that you need to put that hat on as well. And then
Right.
while you're doing that, that's not work that generates any revenue for you, right? So, but it's important to not put it off because you got to get cases closed and moved on. So I'd say I try to just pick up my skills on efficiency
Okay.
because I have a little bit more to do now.
Okay.
But yeah, but still I enjoy the autonomy of working for myself.
That's awesome. Do you have staff that you're using or anything yet?
Yeah, yeah. So I just added my second person. I have
Nice.
one full-time paralegal and then one part-time intake
Okay.
person
Okay.
who I'm probably gonna make full-time.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You just keep going and going. So your website looks great, by the way. Peruse
I
that today.
appreciate that.
Yeah, it looks
Thank you.
really good. Tell
I
us
didn't make it myself.
what's
I
that?
did
No,
not. I did
yeah,
not.
I feel that. So what kind of are you working on anything like crazy right now? Like in terms of cases, like something that's
Oh
comes to
yeah, no, I have some pretty interesting
okay.
like some wrongful death cases, some catastrophic injury cases where even some car cases where like my client it's a hit and run, but they're
Yep.
denying liability. Like I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's crazy. So going back to your Georgia State days, real quick.
Mhm.
So you were founding president of a student-run organization, right? Do you know where I'm going
Yeah,
with this?
yes, I
So
am.
I just thought this was like really interesting. So it's called Focusing on Helping Students Balance Academic, Spiritual, and Emotional Rigors of Pursuing College Education or Modern Day College Education. Like, tell me a little bit about that. I thought that was really cool
Sure.
that you did that.
Okay, so I'd say I'd have to give credit to my mom. Like growing up, she was very, very strict about, every week had to go to church, had to go to Bible study, all
Yeah.
that. But she laxed up significantly by my teenage years. But by then, I was so used to it, but also just got a good number of great friends. So we built a community. Me and so many of my friends from my church all went to Georgia State around the same time because we were
Okay.
all like the same age, high school. So we got together and we're like, hey, what we have at our church, which is a really, really great community. I feel like some of our classmates, could use that because I got to know some people, with me being African, reaching out to like the African student organizations, got to meet a lot of people who being in Georgia State wasn't their home. They're away from their family.
Okay.
So giving them like a sense of community, as well as people who were part of like the same spiritual journey that we were on. They
Okay.
came and that was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We ended up having quite a good number of people coming out for like we'd meet like every week
Okay.
in the library at Georgia State and just talk about life, man. What was going on?
That's awesome.
Finals, dating,
Yep.
what you're going to do after graduate, that pressure, what you're doing after graduation, and
Yeah.
you're like 21, 22 years old and you have no idea, right?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Um,
So yeah, that's really cool. So I'm a big community type of guy. So what does community mean to you?
I would say, especially now that I'm a dad, right?
Mhm.
I think you really are, when they say you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think there's a lot of truth to that. So the friends that I had, one of them's a dentist, the other one's running his own IT. Like they were very ambitious, goal-oriented people.
Okay.
Like when we were all in college, we didn't struggle with like, oh, I have an exam tomorrow, but I have this party. We were all kind of like, forget that party. We all need to study. There'll be another party. So I think it's very important that your community is like-minded people who kind of want the best for you, are looking out for you, but then also pushing you, to reach for things that are outside of your comfort zone. So like a little story. When I was graduating from high school, I had some issues with like my immigration stuff. So they were trying to classify me as an international student and charge me like $50,000, something crazy for tuition, right? But my mom had gotten married to him. Everything had worked out, but I didn't go to college for 2 years after high school, whereas all my friends did. So they did a great job of keeping me motivated, keeping me wanting to go to school. And then when I started, I felt so behind because, I'm coming in as a freshman and all my friends now are sophomores and juniors. So that's a part of why I went to school in the summer.
Okay.
But then they were also taking summer school.
So why did you have to be delayed a couple years?
They were trying to classify. Georgia State wanted to classify me as an international student.
Charge you all that money. That's crazy.
Even though I was a citizen at the time, so just going through all that with immigration and attorney and all that, it took like 2 years.
Did that ever make you think about going into immigration law?
It did for a quick second,
Quick second, okay. So when did you dismiss that idea? Or like why did you dismiss that?
I think I tried to sign up for like an immigration class, and I was just like, this is not for me.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Kind of like criminal law too. Like I had an internship, in the DA's office, and I was just like, you know what? Yep. This isn't me.
That's great. You really like knew like how to cut things out, because when you find things that aren't for you, it helps you figure out what is for you. You know what I mean? So
that's true, Benny. But sometimes I wish I knew before I got into it to like save myself. But yeah. Sometimes that's the only way. You need the experience to find out.
That's not a bad hindsight is 2020. I mean, I know what you're saying though. That's amazing. That's funny. You're like, it just wasn't me, but you knew. I mean, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I like to figure out if that's, that kind of challenge connected to why somebody became a certain.
I'll tell you the story. So it's, I knew this judge well, so she's like, hey, I'm going to have some hearings Saturday morning. Some people who want to bond out, I'm going to come down and watch. I'm like, sure. So she's hearing these people. She lets some people out. She does it. And then this older lady, she must have been 50s maybe. And she was obviously on drugs, right? So she'd been caught with some stuff.
Okay.
And she started to cry. She started to break down. She was like, I'm supposed to go pick up my grandkid. No one knows. She was guilty. Don't get me wrong, right? I was like, let her go. Let her go. So I was like, I can't do this.
Oh, man. Don't admit that. We might have to take that part out, Nigel.
Right. No, I was like, you know what? I can't do it. I can't do it.
This was in the criminal clinic?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Just let her go.
Yeah, I was like, let her go, man. She started to cry. I couldn't take it.
Yeah, no, that's you'd rather be handing people checks for things that happened against them, and So, what's it like? Like, what does it take to be an attorney who people come to you in like their worst, like most vulnerable, desperate situations?
I'd say the first thing is empathy, right? So you got to listen. When people are in pain, plenty of times what they're looking for is just for you to tell them that it's going to be okay and you're going to help them find someone who's responsible, And then I'd say be in control, where I try to give the client a playbook, like, hey, this is everything I need you to do in your case. And then just having that open line of communication. So many clients from when I did defense work, hey, my attorney's not getting back to me. Like,
right.
I hear that a lot. In my firm, we try 48 hours at the latest, we will get back to you.
Empathy and communication. Love it. Writing that down. That's good stuff. So you do another program there in Atlanta. I don't know if you're still into it, but very interesting about the Community Law Day program. The Community Law Day program in Atlanta.
So Community Law Day is just this simple, right? If you need a lawyer for anything, come out and we'll either find you a lawyer who can answer your question for free, or we will refer you to one. And we had at least 10 practice areas, right? Like outside, not even just PI, criminal, employment, real estate, entertainment, just all sorts of different things. And people came out. I'm pretty tight with the Eritrean Community Association here, so I hosted it over there.
You know, the what? I'm sorry, the what?
The Eritrean Community Association. Eritrea is like a small country, East Africa.
Gotcha.
So I have a good connection with them. They have a great building.
That's awesome.
So they let us use the building, and people just come and ask questions because so many of them don't even know. People don't know that there's a Social Security lawyer. They don't know that.
Wow.
You know, so just finding that out, it's like if you ever walk into a Social Security office and fill out those forms by yourself, it can be pretty intimidating.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I think like, you know, some of what I do, like we like to help people with their forms too. Like we don't want to deny anybody because they don't know how to do, their forms. Like they might miss something, but you want them to be able to, if they're going to be denied, have them be denied on the merits, right? So we want them to have to be able to get help. We want them to have help with the form. So that's amazing. So where do you see yourself in 5 years with your law office?
5 years, I'd say I'd like to have at least five attorneys working for me.
5 attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. I think I see that coming. Young guy, you have you're on the right path. Seems like you got some good cases going. And by the way, if there's anybody that you ever see on like Lawyer Stories, like that you want to connect with, like I'm happy to make a warm introduction.
Absolutely.
I love doing that, and I think there's a good amount. There's some people in Atlanta that might want to connect with or whatnot. Try to do it a little bit at the Chris Summit. It was a little crazy there, but
man, there was a lot more people than I thought there would be. It was quite an event. I was very impressed by it.
It was awesome. I had a great time. They did a really good show. So I don't know. Did I miss anything today, Nigel? Do you want to give the Lawyer Stories community any advice? Any other advice?
Honestly, man, I think it's all about passion, for me at least. You know, I met Mike Morse, who I think is the biggest PI attorney in Michigan.
Okay.
And we sat down and we ended up talking for like 20 minutes at an event that I met him, and he just talked about how letting passion be the guide, and that's how I've always felt. Like, don't let the super calm, chill demeanor fool you. When I get in some of these depots and these cross examinations, I can be a little I can be a bit of a pit bull. So
really, I'd love to see that. Do you have that on video anywhere? Like, where can we watch that? Can you zoom me in sometime?
And I don't have it on video, but it's all passion, right? That's where it comes from. Like I feel like I really believe in the cases. I believe in the clients, and our job I don't think is the hardest in the world. People think sometimes what we do is magic, but it's not. For PI, I would say develop a system that you follow for all your cases, or at least all your different kinds of cases. For me, this is how I investigate and run car wreck cases, or this is how I investigate and run dog bite or negligent security cases.
That's a common theme, honestly. Like I hear it a lot, or a few times, and I think that's super important. Systems are very important. So thanks for So if you have a type of case, like you have to have a system for the type of case that you have.
Mm-hmm. Because what you want is a process that flows even if you're not there, right? So my staff, they know that if we get a client that calls in for saying they got bit by a dog, they know exactly what they need to do to evaluate and whether we're going to sign up that case and if we can help that client. Same thing for slip and fall, because it's you can only slip and fall so many ways, right? You can only get bit by a dog so many ways. A lot of what you need to get a settlement from an insurance company for it is the same if you follow the process.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. Thank you so much. Let's see, did I ask you everything I wanted to here?
Yeah, I have a couple things I can add if you want.
Sure.
A couple things I'm working on. So one thing I'm currently building is an accident concierge app.
Okay.
So let's say you get in a car wreck, right? When you call our firm, we have you download the app, and then almost everything that we need for the case, we can get it done on the app, where it really streamlines our efficiency because we spend a lot of our time waiting on clients to send us documents.
Okay.
So that way, when a client, hey, what's going on in my case, you can just log into the app and say, hey, you're treating with this doctor until XYZ date. So until then, your attorney can't exactly tell you what's going on in the case because he needs those medical records first, right? Clients enjoy knowing that information.
So is this somebody who should download the app who's not a client yet?
No, when you're a client, like when you sign us up, we tell you,
that's
hey.
Good. That's awesome. And that's important too, the way you want to market. I mean, I think the way you want to market that is like that, obviously, when you are a client, like download this app. I think that's tremendous. Like if somebody signs up with you and you tell them, okay, here's your app, I think they'd love that, actually. So that's great, Nigel. I love it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I think we're going to launch in January. So we'll see how it goes. I think it'll go well.
Yeah. Super cool. What else you got?
I'm working on a program called $1 Million Demand. So if you're a young PI attorney or a new PI attorney, we teach you how to write a demand that can get $1 million. So which is the process that I was, the system that I was alluding to. So I'm essentially teaching you my system.
Wow. $1 million demand.
Which has gotten $1 million demands paid.
And so that's just like the wording of a particular letter? Is that what it is?
No, it's just if you do it this way, these are the possible results you could get.
Nice. So you said it's in a document though, right?
No, it's more so like an academy. Like it's in development. Yeah.
An academy. Okay.
So we're teaching people, PI.
We should talk about that because we're launching in 2023 Lawyer Stories Connect, which is an app. I don't know if you joined it yet, but it's going to bring everybody together, and everybody's going to be doing like a 20-minute presentation, and it's going to sort of like advertise yourself yet connect with other people, like an annual thing. So that's definitely something that I'd be interested in.
Oh, absolutely, because this is obviously something that's for attorneys, right? And a lot of why I get a good amount of clients. It started when I was at Morgan & Morgan, of people just leaving their attorney because they feel like they're not doing a good job. And you take some of the demands that people write or how they correspond with insurance companies, and it's like, it's a big no-no. So I feel like we can provide some value there with just, this is how you get your client ready to be deposed by an insurance lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Or this is how you depose a doctor who's coming in saying your client's faking everything. That system's the same. The outline for it is the same, where you score credibility, where their witnesses lose credibility, teach you all that.
That's awesome. No, I'd love to talk to you more about that as you start to develop it. So we're definitely going to stay in touch and, bounce ideas off each other. That's super cool. Is there anything else that you want to share?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, man, that was good. Yeah. We went through a lot. Congratulations on all of your success. It's been a true pleasure to share it and to talk to you about it.
Thanks, Benny, man. It's been so great to be a part of, these last, I think it's been 2 years I've been following you now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, see your podcast, like it's really growing, man. I'm so happy for you.
I really appreciate that. You're a good dude, man. I really appreciate that a lot. So, Nigel Phiri in Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
Good guy. See him with all your personal injury needs.
Oh yeah, our number 800 Hurt Now. That's it.
800 Hurt Now. All right. And everybody, thanks for tuning in. Nigel, stay right there. Wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves.